Hi, I'm Vicki Anderson. I am coming to you from Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm going to be working with you on research writing for grades 3 through 6. Notice we have a bit.ly address there. It does say research 3-5. Make sure you do that all lowercase, but we're going to cover a wider span of grade level here. So we're going to look at using Google Docs, slides, and more. And I'm going to put that bit.ly address back up there so you can see that a little bit longer. We'll look at the Explore tool and some other things that you can do in order to help your students become better researchers, even from a very young age. Okay, so that bit.ly/research 3-5, all lowercase. Okay, so first thing we want to look at is the research process. So first of all, when we are using either slides or docs in Google, in the Google world, we have this little tool down at the bottom called the Explore tool. So we're going to take a look at that. I have linked here on the page the support page for Explore. And this just kind of walks you through how that works. If you have any questions about it, that's the one for docs. And then also some advanced search information as well, because we'll be talking about that and how to limit the things that you find in your search. And we'll specifically look at images as well, because I think it is really important for students from a very young age to understand that everything on the internet is not just free for them to use, that they have to still follow fair use practices and avoid plagiarism and that kind of thing. So we will again talk about fair use. And here I have a link that could be really helpful. This is for the teacher side of things, obviously. And this is kind of the 4 factors of measuring for fair use. And you can incorporate this into your lesson in whatever way makes the most sense to you, but that is just really good information for you to have. Okay, so let's start with finding those sources. Normally, I would always start a document by going to Drive and going into the folder where I want my file to live, and then hitting my new button and opening either a doc or a slideshow, or whichever format you want to use. In this case, I'll go ahead and open a doc. I'll show you another way that you can create a new document when we do a slide here in a moment. It used to be that the Explore tool lived down here in the bottom right corner, and every time you opened a doc, it was just there. But Google Docs and many other Google products, of course, have undergone some lovely new changes where they are looking a little more modern. And so now you can find that Explore tool right here under your tools. So if you go down and you look for Explore, and notice this looks similar to Comment. If you see the comment icon right here, it's got the little kind of message box, whereas Explore looks just slightly different. And there is a shortcut, Control-Alt-Shift-I. But if we click on that, it's going to bring up our Explore tool over here on the right. Now, when we want to search something, and this works for all of our young students as well as those 6th graders, we can just jump in and we can write a topic. So I'll put in Arizona as if I'm doing a research topic on the state of Arizona. And here I can see just a quick synopsis. And if I wanted to actually use one of these sources or look at more information from one of these sources, I can click on it and I can go out and look at more. So this is a Google search result. So if I wanted to hop out and learn more about that, it would take me out and have me actually search the term right there. But if I go down to the results list, here I can see I've got the Arizona government website. And again, if I click on that, this time it'll actually take me to the website because that is one of our results, not just the Google analysis or like the summary that they provide. So here I can go in and I can explore and I can look at, what are the updates and the historical information and the tours that are available and things like that. But if I decide to use that source, I also have a citation tool that is built right in there. And if I go up here to the little three dots, always explore. If you see the little jelly beans or three dots, always explore that to see what it is. In this case, it tells us that we have a choice of which type of citation format we are using. So in Arizona, at least for K-12, we use MLA, and then at the university level, we use APA. So that makes a lot of sense. But once we have that set, then if we hit the little citation button for any of these sources, for instance, if I were to maybe copy and paste some of this information, I'll just take some of this and I'll copy that, bring it over here in my quote marks and paste it. And then if I go to the end of that line, I can hit my quotation mark. And what it's going to do is put a footnote. Now, footnotes are not something we use very often anymore, but at least it gives us that MLA formatted citation. It may not be exactly correct, but at least it gives us something, and we have that so we can go right back to that source again later on. Also, if you didn't know, there is a little trick. I'm going to try copying a little more of this. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So if I go in and copy, and this is something you may or may not want to show your students, but if I now just do Control V to paste, notice how it brings in all the formatting. So this all has formatting in there, and it also has links. So these links stay active. That one's not hyperlinked, but this one is. However, if I were to instead, let me get rid of this. If I instead do Control Shift V, it brings it in without all the formatting. So it comes in with the formatting of my document. Notice this up here, I brought in without doing that. And so it's smaller than what my document's formatted content is supposed to be. So it should bring it in with the actual format of your document. And that way, once you have your document formatted the way you want, then it stays that way. All right, so in addition to sources that you can find very quickly right here within your document without going to another tab necessarily, we have images. So here I can find images related, and these images are supposed to be available for use. So they've already kind of been filtered, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. So there are several different ways I can add one of these images to my document. So I'm going to space down a little bit here. And if I wanted to use this one, I can hit the plus symbol in the top right corner. And notice it comes in very large. I can click on it once. And this will allow me to do a number of things to it. So I can shrink it down. I can always use the corners. If you use the sides or the top or bottom, it's going to squish that image and you'll have to undo it. So you want to show your students, if they are manipulating images, always resize from the corners. Then I can decide if I want this to interrupt the text or have the text wrap around, have its own line, or if I want it to be kind of hidden behind the text or come in front of the text. So we have a lot of options there, and that has really changed recently too. We also have some size and rotation and adjustments, plus we have some additional formatting options that we can look at up here. So those are all things definitely to explore as well. And then another way you can bring this in is to simply click on it. This allows you to view it a little larger, and then you can insert. Notice it says down here, it's labeled for commercial use with modification, but you want to make sure that the right people posted it if you're doing anything really severe or public, like if you're putting it on your website. But for your students, that should be enough. Also, if you wanted to bring an image in, you can drag it over onto the document, and that will bring in that information. Another thing it does, which is just wonderful, is anything you bring from this list over here, it is going to have, if you click on it once, it's going to be hyperlinked directly to the source of that image. So even though you got the image from Explore, this allows you to find the source of that image, and you can always cite your sources when you gather them in this manner, because you always have that quick little access right there. Okay, so I am starting back on the website where we started with the bit.ly address. And I know we're spending a lot of time on part 1 here, but finding sources is kind of the main difference between research writing and other types of writing. So we want to make sure we have that part down, and then we'll go ahead and get through some of this other information for you. So I want to use Google Slides as an example to show you these last couple things here. I'm just going to go up, since I have a lot of things open, and I'm going to open a tab to the right. And I promised I'd show you another way that you could open a new document, and that is simply, if you're working in Google Docs, you can type in docs.new. I want a slides presentation, so I'm going to type in slides.new, and that will literally just pop open a new presentation, but it's just going to be in my drive. So at this point, I would need to make sure that I go up here to the little icon and make sure that I put that in the location where I want it to be. So, all right, well, it doesn't want to do that right now. I'm going to leave it alone. It offers you the different themes and things that you can create, but really our point right now is just to look at the Explore tool and talk some more about what its purpose is. So I'm going to go up here to Tools and open Explore. And notice it's a little different because I'm in Slides. So the first thing it offers me is layouts, and I can find some really cool different kind of layouts that I may not have in my normal list here. So, you know, I can kind of play around and choose which one I want. Or if you start working on a topic, it'll suggest things that it thinks are appropriate to that topic. But like with the other Explore tool in Docs, you can type something in as well. So I'll go ahead and type in Arizona. And, you know, we talked about images. We talked about images here. And we also talked about, you know, how to bring those in and the fact that they bring in their information. But we didn't mention this last one, which is Drive. So if I am working in here, and I'm going to go ahead and add a content slide. If I'm working in here and I already have a document related to Arizona in my Drive, perhaps I've been working on my planning document and then I want to go ahead and pull in information into my presentation, I can grab information directly from there. So that's really helpful too. All right, so that is the last couple things I wanted to show you about Explore. Now I'm going to show you, if you were to go to just a new tab and type in your search, and it doesn't matter if you put it in the URL bar, the Omnibox, or down here in the search bar. Either way, and I'll just type in Arizona, I'm going to get my results for all the news, maps, images, so forth. So the main thing I want to show you here is if you go to images, there is a really quick way to search
for images that have been labeled as available for reuse. So what we want to do here is go to Tools, and that drops down this tiny little menu. And one of those things is usage rights. So if you choose ones that have Creative Commons license, it's going to limit that search to ones that at least have been labeled with a Creative Commons license. Now, if I were to take one of these and copy this in, so if I look at it, I might have to go to the source to find it, or I can right click on that and I can copy the image, and then I can take it back here and I can paste it with Control V into my presentation. So I can do all of that, but it is not going to bring in the information like it would if I grabbed it from the Explore tool. So if I need to know where that came from, then I have to go back to that source and copy the link and bring that back to my presentation and maybe put that in the speaker notes or something so that I have it. So just be aware, doing a Google search is going to change the way your information comes into your paper, whereas using that Explore tool, it's built for research, so it's just going to be right there for you. Okay, I'm going to go back to the website here and just kind of show you. We've already looked at the fair use page, so I'll leave that be. You can create bookmark categories. So if I go to one of these sources, I wouldn't use Wikipedia for a source, but we'll go ahead and go into one of these Wiki Commons sites here, and you can set up folders on your bookmarks bar. For instance, I have a travel folder. I have a lot of different folders. You can do that and they will show right here. So you can see I've got my G Suite folder and folders inside of that, and even folders inside of those. So you can organize all of your content that you find in a bookmarks folder. If that works for your students, if they're old enough to do that, I've definitely done that with fifth graders and it worked very well. But you have under your little 3-dot menu, your Jelly Bean menu over here on the right, you can go to hover over bookmarks. You can make sure your bookmarks bar is showing, and you can also go to your bookmarks manager and you can organize and drag these around and put them in folders just like you would in Drive or File Explorer or anywhere else where you organize your files. Okay, now we also want to talk about using graphic organizers. So once we have all that content, we found all those sources, we're starting to put our information together, we might need a graphic organizer. So right here we have linked, this is a collection of graphic organizers created in Google Drawings that is available for you to use. You are welcome to use any of these on here. A lot of them are from Eric Kurtz or just several of our other trainers that work with Design for Learning. And so we have those there available for you, and you just open one up and just do file, make a copy, and you can have a copy of it in your own Drive. So that whole folder, and actually, to show you real quickly, anytime someone shares a folder with you, it'll come up like this, shared with me, and then the name of the folder. You can drop this menu down and add a shortcut to your own Drive so that that entire folder shows up in your Drive. All right. It's not making copies, it's just making a shortcut right there in your Drive. Okay, and then we talked about citing sources with the Explore tool. You can also do reverse lookup. So if a student has used something from a source and forgotten where it came from, you can copy and paste enough of that wording for it to recognize into the Explore tool and try to find that source and then cite it. Now, voice typing, I have linked here the support document, just like I did up on these ones here. And also for named version. Oh, actually, this one is links out to Control-Alt-Achieve to one of Eric Kurtz's presentations. But this one, voice typing in Google Docs, this is a really awesome tool and very powerful, really important for our students. So I'm just going to make a little space here at the top. And essentially all you do is go to Tools and you go to Voice Typing, and it puts this little microphone over here. It even has a language option. But I just click to speak. And as soon as I click that, it begins to transcribe everything I'm saying. And for a lot of people, especially English teachers like me, you might think this is cheating. However, you might notice there is no punctuation in what I am saying, exclamation point. So either the student has to speak the punctuation, comma, or the student has to go back and edit the work after they get their ideas onto the page, period. So then I just click it again to turn it off. And that is a super helpful tool that your students will be able to use. I've had so many students who know what they need to say, but they just can't get started. And so this just allows them to get those thoughts on paper, and then we can jump back in later. All right, so let's take some time and try out those tools, and then we'll take a look at the rest of these tips and get you going. Let's look at the last couple items here before we jump into reviewing some of the resources I have for you here on the page. The last few steps in this writing process, of course, we need to draft something, we need to revise it, we might have peer editing. So all of these stages of the process can be named within the same document. So in any document that I have, I can go up here and I can see what I've done and when I've done it by looking at the document history. I can go to File, and under Version History, I can see the version history, or I can just go ahead and name the current version that I'm on. So I might just go ahead and name this version. I'll call this my rough draft, and hit save. And I don't even have to go into my version history if I don't want to, but there is a little view button that pops up down here for a moment if I want to. So I can go File, Version History, see Version History, or if you want to remember Control-Shift-H, you can do it that way as well. And notice this version is saved as rough draft. So I can go back to when I first started my document and it was blank, or I can go to the next iteration and actually see all the changes I made. So if you'll remember, I added some things in, and then I took out the version. So it shows I removed this version and I added this version. And you can see exactly when each of these things happened. So I might name this as my drafting stage. And you don't have to name every stage, but if you have a set of steps in the process and you're having students turn things in at different stages but continue on the same document, this is a good way to do it. And then you can even make a copy of a specific version of the paper, even right down to like at a specific time. I can make a copy of this one and I can name that specific version, even though it's within a couple minutes of when a lot of other changes were made. So that's version history. And you can even go up here if you have tons and tons of things that have happened and lots of people working on the same document. You can view only your named versions and switch back and forth between seeing all of the versions and just the named versions of the history. And you can scroll between the edits that you've made within that stage of the process as well. So a lot of options there to to give you some flexibility when you're doing research and you want to keep track of when things happen. Okay, so when you want to edit a paper, but you want to do it with comments and not make changes to a student paper, you might go in and do something like this. So right now I'm in editing mode. If you use Google Classroom, you'll notice that if you're reviewing student work and you see the preview pane and you start to type something, you are automatically going to be in suggesting mode. So you can put yourself in and out of suggesting mode at any time. So for instance, here, I might look and notice, okay, well, this is a font size 11. This is a font size 11.5. So maybe I just highlight this whole thing and I change it to an 11. But because I'm in suggesting mode, what that does is it makes the change, but it highlights it in green. And over here, it puts a comment that says that Vicki Anderson went in and changed the format font size. And then the student can accept or decline or reject the suggestions. And maybe if they decline that suggestion, they might need to explain why. So they can go in and write a comment of their own. If the student accepts the suggestion, then that comment box will go away. And obviously up here, I might want to come up and say, well, let's change this and just say, as soon as I click, comma, and here it even makes a suggestion for me. And so now that has gone in there, and each little suggestion that I make is going to come in, but it's not going to be a permanent change until someone comes in and check marks that. So notice I can do it myself because it's my own document, but the owner of the document can also do it. So you can also switch back to editing mode whenever you'd like. Now, you might be worried that those comments have disappeared because you might add a comment and you want to be able to see that comment later on, right? You don't want that comment to disappear. You can also add reactions and things like that now, by the way. You can show students that you love something they said, or make suggested edits very quickly just by selecting that when you highlight an area. But if you want to see all of the comments that have ever been made on a document, you can go up here. And they are all still there, even if they're marked as resolved. So it says suggestion accepted, tells you when, who did it, everything is tracked. So all right there. Okay, so that is named versions. We have that in both docs and slides. Same place, same idea. And then you have the editing and comments, and you can do the in slides. You don't have that suggesting mode, but you still have comments. You can go into any part of it and you can add a comment right here, or you can always go up here, and one of your options is to add a new comment wherever you are. So you can add the comment to the entire slide. So if I just have the slide selected and I haven't selected anything on the slide, I can put a note that says, then I can assign it to someone. So I can say, I'll assign it to myself on another account and just say, assign this and needs content, and hit assign. And this is asking me if I want to allow that person access because I haven't actually shared it with that person. So then I can even decide right there if I want them to have access and what kind of access they should have. So all of that is pretty cool. Okay. Now, in Google Classroom, you have, of course, your rubrics that you can use to grade research. That's how I have always done it, is rubrics. You have those comment banks, which are amazing. That makes grading so much easier. And then, of course, that suggesting mode and comments in docs, which is just built right into Classroom. It automatically puts you in suggesting mode. So now I want to move very quickly onto the topics that are the resources that I have here for you. So again, we're just on the site with the bit.ly research 3-5. This is actually a read, write, think lesson on using expository writing for cause and effect, and uses natural disasters. And it has all of these. And if you've not explored read, write, think, they have some wonderful resources. I've got some other links to them down below. I also have an example here with a folder which contains several different options for doing a research on a state, because at least in Arizona in 5th grade, they all do the state research. And then here, just a ton of resources on that one topic. So just something you can refer to if you want to try it out, use some of those tools. Google Slides, if you want basically just some resources on using slides, this is another page of my website where I walk through different ways to use Google Slides. So again, that's just another page of this site that we're on right now. You can also find more on my curriculum page. So the curriculum page has lessons for different, and I'll link to it from here real quickly, but basically all your different curriculum topics. And if you have trouble with any of that, you can always hit me up. My email address is on the top of this page, and it's on the bottom of every page of my website. I also have some drawings and things here that you can get into. So going down a little bit more, let me see, I'm going to refresh this. There we go. There's a template that I put on here. So this is from Slidesmania, and this is basically just a little journaling template. And this is one that I thought would be really cute for using as a template that you could provide to students. You could decide which of the slides would work well for them. You can customize this any way you like. It has different color templates and things, little highlighter. But this is just one example of the kind of templates that you can find in Slidesmania for free. They are linked here on the last page, but it's just slidesmania.com. Definitely a resource to keep in mind. And I do have that linked there, and you can make your own copy of that if you'd like to, but it's also on their page. So it's just one that I borrowed from them. But wanted to make sure that I gave them a little plug, because they also have an Educators for Educators page, and you can go find all kinds of different resources and lessons and really cool stuff there. So you can also do timelines and other things to accompany your projects done with drawings. And I've got some more information there. This one leads to another one of my sites where I talk about using drawings for different activities. Some of the mobile apps that you can use for this, you can use Drive and Classroom, Docs and Slides, all from a mobile device. And then you also have review tools that are available in Google Classroom. I really love to use Screencastify for feedback, because it gives video feedback where I'm looking at their work in Classroom, and I'm actually talking to each student individually, and it's actually faster than if I were to write all of my comments. So it's very personalized. Every student knows you paid attention to what they did individually, and it's very quick and easy for the teacher. And you just put a link to the to the video, and you're done. So that's a really good way to do it, to provide feedback, because that's a huge part of research, is that feedback, because they don't really learn if they don't know what they did incorrectly or what they did correctly. So good thing to do. All right. There is a link here to Applied Digital Skills for younger students, like the 3-4 age, or third and fourth grades. You also have Be Internet Awesome. There are some resources there. And here is a set of lessons on Read, Write, Think, again, on research building blocks. And I love this. So they have these whole lesson plans for you, all set and ready to go. Just want to make sure you know those are there. There are also a lot of research resources from OWLS, which is from a district library system. And it's not the OWL at Purdue, it's a different system. So I have a ton of other resources here on this page, some videos, some of my own things, some things that I've borrowed, always with permission. So, be sure to explore, take a look at things. For this last little activity that we have right now, I would love it if you would take a look at this research estate project. And if you don't feel like that applies to you so much, maybe jump into this template or go to slidesmania.com and try that out, and let's explore a little bit. I hope you gained something from this session today, and I can't wait to see you again at another session in the future.